Welcome to the recorded version of the American Society on Aging's web seminar, Move with Balance for Healthy Aging, featuring Karen Peterson, from August 30th, 2012. This event was made possible by a partnership between the American Society on Aging and the MetLife Foundation as part of the Mind Alert series.
Our presenter today is going to be Karen Peterson. Karen has been in the field of movement and learning for 26 years and teaching senior citizens for 18 years. In the year 2000, she created a nonprofit, Giving Back, and its intergenerational mentoring programs, one of which includes Move with Balance, the MetLife Mind Alert Award winner for 2012. She is currently packaging her program for easy replication. And with that, I would like to turn the floor over to our presenter, Karen Peterson. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here with everyone to share some of the highlights of Move with Balance. Thank you, Steve, ASA, and MetLife. I've invited Dr. Lauren Pang to be here with us. He is the Maui District Health Officer with the Hawaii State Department of Aging. So a little bit later in some of the slides, he'll be talking because we just finished a really important evaluation that he did with a control group and a treatment group, and I wanted him to talk about that rather than me. So hopefully he got logged on, and we'll hear from him a little bit later when we come to that slide. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the vision for the program. I started to teach elders in 1994, and then I started to become an elder myself. So I saw how society treated elders, and I wanted to enhance the image of elders. I felt that the people I was working with were really talented and vital, and I wanted to create an opportunity for them to give back their gifts to the community. As Steve said, I started a nonprofit agency in 2000, and in the beginning I had the elders working with children, helping them with focus and concentration, reading, and things like that. Then I was approached by a group on Maui to do the program with frail elders, and I thought, well, why not? Let's try it. So I modified the exercises somewhat, but not actually that much. And I found out that I really loved working with the frail elders. They're just so appreciative. It was just absolutely great. And then in 2010, we named the program Move with Balance. Okay, the goals for Move with Balance, the goals for the elders are to increase their social support and self-efficacy, preserve and strengthen their physical and mental abilities, reduce their falls and fall-related injuries and hospitalizations. So those are the three goals for the Move with Balance program. But this program really works with all levels of senior citizens. So the younger seniors, or the mobile, independent seniors, not always younger, they're like, I call them the mentors or the coach. Just like that picture on the right, the one on the right is the mentor, and the one on the left I call the mentee, more of the frail elder. So it's also intergenerational. Mostly people think of the children program as intergenerational, but it's actually intergenerational this way too. So the mentor really offers motivation, support, safety, fun, and friendship. Okay, goal 2 was to strengthen and improve physical and mental abilities. So there are activities, sensory integration activities, spatial awareness, the integration of the two halves of the brain, the right and left brain being integrated is a state of balance. We're also working on reaction time, binocular teaming, and this point right here is the most important. By doing these activities, we are moving from sitting, we're constantly making the activity challenging and surprising because this is what the brain likes and this is how people become engaged in the present moment and really there to do the activities. So we might start the person sitting, then move to standing, and then walking. And then we might add counting, that they might have to count backwards, or we might have them read something at the same time they're doing the activity. So we just keep challenging and surprising. And we're giving ability-appropriate activities, and then the mentor can help individualize this. So through these activities that we do, we are strengthening their physical and mental abilities. I would say that the major thing that Move with Balance does, the activities, is get you very present in the moment, connected, and just ready to do any activity that you need to do. This could be learning a new language, just walking across the street. You're totally present. So anytime we learn something new, if you remember when you first learned how to drive a car, you had to slow way down, and we would call this being in low gear. It's interesting because that's actually a car term. But if you're low gear and you're in an integrated state, you slow way down. But if you're stuck in low gear, you're kind of fearful, afraid to try something new. So we want to get the person over that fearful stage and into high gear, where the movement becomes automatic. They're kind of in the flow, in the zone with the activity. So when they get to that point, we let them celebrate and enjoy that flow. But then we get right to it and we start challenging them again. So that's the progressive challenge. And it's interesting, what I've noticed is in our society, a lot of people don't like to participate and do new things unless they think they're going to be good at it. In other words, they don't want to make a fool of themselves. But we kind of want to break that pattern down because that's how we learn and grow, by trying new things and engaging yourself in the activities. And even laugh at yourself somewhat as you learn and do these new activities. And the elders really especially like it if I bring in a new activity and I'm teaching it and I'm struggling with it. So they really like that. So the delivery of the program, the way that I have it set up with the mentors and mentees, it's a 10-week program. And we meet 1 hour a week. The facilitator, which has been me so far, and a couple of times I've tried other people, and it's been great. They lead the group, and then the mentors and mentees the mentors individualize the activities. These are some of the benefits we've found during the course of watching the elders in the program. Improves focus and concentration, confidence grows, and so the fear of falling is reduced. The program, which I've already described, is really playful, lighthearted, fun, win-win situation. And a real loving relationship is created between the mentor and the mentee. They really look forward to being together, doing these activities, and having fun together. And overall well-being improves. Next, please. So these are, physical, social, there's vision improvement, mental ability improvement, the attitudes improved, and stress reduction. These are some of the activities or some of the results, improvement in overall well-being. So this is a picture of me getting the Mind Alert Award in Washington, D.C., and I marked in red just some of the things that the review committee felt about Move with Balance, which I think are quite true. Innovative, unique, easily replicable, intergenerational, truly engages older adults cognitively, physically, and socially. So I was really proud to have received that award. And these are some other awards that we've won in the past couple of years. You can just take a glance at that. I'm not going to read every one of these. Okay, this happens to be another little award we won for this picture. What I had to do was take a picture of some of the people in the program and then write a story about them. So Dorothy is on the right, the mentee, and Maggie is on the left, the mentor. So I'm going to this is like a testimonial from Dorothy, what she felt about the program. I've been to a lot of classes, 4 exercise classes recently. This is by far the most interesting. I was most comfortable with the people in charge. For the first class, I walked in and it was scary for me. Then Maggie walked right up to me, and right away I could tell she was my type. I said, "Thank you, Lord." Right away I felt safe and comfortable. So I bet that's true, when the elder first comes to a class, they're really tentative and scared, and so the mentor walked right up and made her feel at ease. She goes on to say, I learned different ways to do exercises that I already had been doing, but they were easier to understand, and therefore I was more motivated to do them. Understanding is important to me. They made the exercises interesting, so I did them. I was surprised to see several people in the class willing to participate fully and really trying to do the exercises. They usually don't interact. The best thing is that I'm sleeping much better. I used to get up after 3 or 4 hours of sleeping and could not fall back to sleep. Now I sleep like a baby. And then she says, I feel stronger. I walked over to our interview without any walker. I have more confidence in my physical self. So that's just a typical example of a mentor-mentee relationship and what we feel the program accomplishes. Okay, so the replication that we're doing is very innovative. We have a facilitator manual. It will be very user-friendly and affordable. It should be ready, I'd say, early to mid-October. All the activities will be in the manual, and you can check our website to see when it's going to be ready. We're building a new website. You can send an email to me to be on the list to let you know when everything's ready. So we have 3 models. A group leader model. But you could actually do the same program without the mentors, just a facilitator leading the program. And that's what I did in the 90s before I came to doing this program. But the thing was that I felt is that the mentees can sneak and not even do the activities fully. In other words, there I am in the front leading the group, and for me to check each person, it's not as easy as if I have them each with a partner. And, certain people like to pretend they're doing the exercise, and they're really not, but a mentor can catch them at that. Okay, the professional caregiver model it could be for caregiver franchises, and like a caregiver could take along the book with them when they went on their visiting their clients, and they would be like a mentor, so it would be one-on-one. They could pick several exercises to do, maybe 5 minutes worth of exercises, maybe 15 minutes worth of exercises. They wouldn't necessarily have to do the 10-week structured classes that I've been doing. They could do it and fit it into their schedule and what the family would want. And another idea that I've had that I think would be good, that let's say there were 6 people that stayed home most of the time. If you could get them somehow bused or driven out to a site, and then they could do the program in a group, and each of the caregivers could be the mentor. Or you could actually get other people to be the mentor and then give the caregivers a chance for respite. Anyway, that's an idea that I've always had that I haven't really done yet, but I think that would be really good as to get the people that are more homebound out in a social setting with other people and do this together. But you wouldn't necessarily have to. And the personal model is more for independent seniors to do alone or with friends. And I would encourage the friends doing it together. So a family caregiver could also do this, an adult child who might be taking care of a parent. They could do these activities together. You could even add in the adult child's children or the grandchildren who could do the activities with the frail elder who they're caring for. It's kind of ironic because the start of the program was the elders working with the children, and in fact, the children could be working with the frail elders. So that's still intergenerational, but that's another way that the personal model could work. There's actually one book, but there's 3 applications. Okay, we are building a new website, and on that website I'll be sharing my experiences with these different applications and places I've done the program and kind of the ins and outs to make it easier for you to get started, because if I share what I've done, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So it'll be very interactive. I want to build a community and have the people involved in Move with Balance feel like it's their program and that they want to share their experiences and get feedback, and we can all really learn together. Like, creating a community of people who love to do this. There'll be a store where you can buy the book. The video will be on the website. There are many, many more activities that I'm going to share that aren't even in this first book that will be on the website. I'm going to, as the community is created, we'll have guest speakers and a blog and things like that. So these are places where seniors gather, like I said, all seniors age 55 to 105. I've done it in assisted living, adult daycare, nursing homes, congregate meal sites, senior centers. I haven't done it in some of the other places, but I'm sure it would work great with using one of the three models. And I probably will continue to go into some of these other places wherever seniors gather. We have done several independent evaluations, and one in 2008 was done by Carol White on the nursing faculty at the University of Hawaii here. And these were some of the things she found. Significant increases in the ability of participants to move from sitting to standing without support or less than before. Significant increases in the ability of participants to walk using proper posture and needing to look down less than before. Improvements in attention span and cognition, and satisfaction in the mutual engagement and socialization by the participants and the mentors. So one interesting thing about Carol White, she would be what you would call a mobile independent senior. She was maybe 63 or so when she did this evaluation, and she would come to the class and observe. And then she started to do the activities, and she could feel in her own mind-body the results. She could feel herself, her vestibular system growing stronger and that she was getting more balance, and she was really amazed because she thought she was just going to come in and watch it and observe, but that she actually felt results as she was doing this evaluation. And Dr. Pang, who I hope is on this talk, he did this independent evaluation in 2009, and he found, we did just pre and post testing without a control group, and he found some of these results. The same thing, being able to move from sitting to standing. They were able to march in place, raising their knees to the required height. They could stretch and reach their toes better than before, touch their fingertips behind their back, bicep curls, and get up from a seated position, walk and turn. That's the get up and go, the tug. And the fitness markers that he discovered in this were like a 20% reduction in medical costs from a program such as this. But this isn't the one that I want him to talk about. The one that I would like Dr. Pang to talk about next, please.
So let me just say that what Karen presented before was in a group of pretty healthy elderly who come to the lunch program. So they didn't fall that much, so we couldn't measure changes in falls because the outcome of falling was pretty rare. So what we did was measure associated markers with fitness and coordination, and it showed reduction in those. And we simply took those surrogate markers and compared it to another published study of another exercise program, which showed that 20% reduction in medical costs for elderly. So Karen then came and told me that we should target the elderly with cognitive disorders, and those have all been kind of institutionalized. And so we addressed the same program to a different target group, more cognitive disorders. Okay, can we have the next slide? Okay, now let me just kind of talk you through this, what's going on here. This is what they call a crossover controlled study. Technically, I come from a drug and vaccine background, and a crossover study means you take a bunch of people and you randomize them into group A or B. And A might get the drug first, and then there's a washout period, then they get the placebo. B, group B, would get the placebo first, then there's a washout period, then they get the drug. So in the end, everybody, group A and B, get both treatment and placebo. Or looking at it another way, the treatment group has everybody, A and B, and the control group has everybody, A and B. This is what they call the classic crossover study. The value of the crossover study is because the underlying confounders are factors intrinsic to the individuals which might affect the outcome. they're automatically balanced in each group. For example, vision. If poor vision in the elderly affects falls. Okay. If you did not do a crossover and you gave Group A a treatment and Group B the control, well, you might have different rates of poor vision in A and B. But if you crossed them over, the treatment group had A and B, and the control group had A and B, well, B then A. And so it would automatically balance out the confounder. Okay, so that's all we did. We took up, there were 27 people who we thought would be eligible to come in the study. We did some baseline cognitive tests, and they were scored about 50% on a kind of simple cognitive test. And then we randomized them. They went into Group A or B, and Group A did 10 weeks of Karen's program, followed by a 4-week wash-up period. Then they were monitored as controls for 10 weeks. Group B started off 10 weeks of control, then a 4-week wash-up period. Essentially, you don't have to wash out a control, but just to match the other group. Then they started to exercise. So the plan was just to analyze the exercise sessions, A and B, and analyze the control sessions. Control means they got nothing, but they were monitored by the institution for falls. And that's simply that. There was one important potential confounder, baseline risk factor, which we did measure. Now, there's a lot. Poor vision, bad leg, taking psychoactive drugs, being greater than 80. But one of the key confounders or things that affect your risk of falling, independent of Karen's exercise, is your history of falls. If you fall a lot, I'll bet you're going to fall again, more likely to fall again, regardless of any exercise program or any intervention. We knew the history of falls. These people had been institutionalized, and the institution was very obsessed with keeping good track of who fell and who didn't. They even have a formal definition. A fall is 3 points touch the ground, like 2 feet and an arm, 2 feet and an elbow, 2 feet and a butt. I mean, that's a fall. So they were very good about keeping these records for a long time. So we knew at baseline, before we started the study, each person's history of fall in the institution. So when we did our crossover study, as it's supposed to be, when you look at the history, that risk factor of falls, it balances out. They all were equal because all the people are in both groups. Okay, no problem. When we analyzed that data up front, we didn't see any difference in the falls between Karen's session and being a control. Then it dawned on us, and it was planned, we planned this, we weren't fishing around for results, that maybe those who exercised first, then had a washout period, and became controls were not truly controls. They remembered some stuff from the exercise. It's called the residual. You didn't wash them out long enough. It's kind of like if I say, I'm going to teach you how to bicycle, and then you're going to stop for 4 weeks, and then you're going to be like you never learned to bicycle before. Well, I can tell you, if I taught you to bicycle, you're going to remember how to bicycle for 5, 10 years. So these are what they call contaminated controls. And when we looked at that, those people who had started with exercise got 4 weeks. That wasn't enough, and became controls. When they became controls, they really did stop falling a whole lot more than baseline. And we eliminated that group who had started as exercise. But the group who had started as controls they could be used as controls. So all of a sudden, we had a lot of exercise sessions, but only half the number of controls. When we analyzed like that, it began to look significant that during the sessions, they began to look a little more statistically significantly fewer falls. But if you do that, you eliminated half the controls because they were contaminated, then you had better check for that risk factor prior falls, like bad vision. And when you looked at that risk factor, it was unbalanced. The exercise people, the group A and B, had a whole lot higher risk of baseline falls than just the controls, group B. And you have to statistically adjust for that because the deck is stacked against you. And when we made that adjustment, as you should, it became very significant. There was a statistically significant reduction in falls, and we estimate it to be about 40% reduction, which is kind of large. So in summary, we designed a straightforward, powerful crossover study. We found that the controls, when they crossed over, were, quote, unquote, contaminated. So we could not use that group of controls. So we had a smaller control group. When you do that, you lost the balance of the baseline risk factor, and we had to adjust for that. When you adjust for that, we got very significant reduction in falls. Once again, we're not fishing around. I didn't look at vision, psychoactive drugs. You don't get to dig around risk factors till you find something you want and say, oh, here's something significant. Let's publish that. These are the only analysis, and they were planned from the beginning, that we did. So I'll open it up to questions if you have any.
So I think the questions are going to happen at the end, and I can finish the slides, and then there'll be a question time. Thanks, Dr. Pang. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you see on my slide, there's those three kinds of analysis. The straight analysis, the removal of the contaminated control, and the final one is the adjustment for the different baseline risk of falls. Okay.
And anybody who wants, Dr. Pang is writing this whole thing up, but we have just some preliminary paperwork on this if you would like us to email it to you. So what we really want to do on our new website is have a research form. In other words, we want to increase the database of these results. We want to summarize the aggregate data. And after talking to the man at the assisted living, the director there, he said that this would help secure funding for assisted living facilities, that the funders, whether it be a nonprofit or a for-profit assisted living facility, the funders like you to be involved in research like this. So if a person at an assisted living would use the Move with Balance program, you could simply track your results on our website form, or if you wanted to participate on a research level, you could have Dr. Pang help you set up that whole thing. So we really would like other people to participate and get increase our database.
Karen, can I just say something?
Sure.
Okay, those others who might want to participate, you remember ours was a controlled trial. So a bunch of people got the exercise and a bunch of people got nothing just to compare with. I feel that people are afraid of controlled trials because you randomized mom and, my God, she got to be the control for 10 weeks just so you could watch her fall to compare. I think we can move forward with no controls. We can do a before and after. When you have a long intervention like 1 year of exercise, it was shown that the before versus after, or after versus before, after the program is over, they fall more than before. Why do they fall? Because they're a year older and older people fall. But when the intervention is short, 10 weeks, I think we will not have that time effect. And so I think we can just go forward with a before and after with no controls. If you're going to say, I think we need to have controls, Dr. Pang, then fine. Give me an institution of 200. Tell me you can only do 50 at a time, and we'll start with 50 before and after, and we'll monitor another 50. They'll get their exercise later. They'll be the controls. Anyway, there's ways to get around this. The most awkward thing is to ask elderly or their guardians, can we randomize you to the control group just to watch you fall to compare? So you got that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So besides those independent evaluations that we just talked about, we do what I would call in-house evaluations. And then after I'm the facilitator and we run a session, I usually have the mentor stay after for a while and give their feedback and talk about the people that they're working with in a support group. And I think that's really important because then the mentors even learn from each other because they will share what they did with one partner and then the other person could maybe do that. Another mentor picks up on that and can do that next time. So, and I sure learn a lot in the support group too. And we have different self-reporting questionnaires and surveys that I use that I don't have all on this webinar now, but those are available. And then sometimes we give out homework sheets. This is a sample of one of the in-house evaluations we might use. So see, it says mentor, mentee, and then on the right there, the 10 weeks. The mentor would quickly fill this out. What was the emotional state, the engagement from start to the end of the session? And they just circle one of those, and then they can make a comment. How about walking? Posture, stance, eyes up, different things that we work on in walking. And then they can circle that and write a comment. How about attention, memory, some of the cognitive skills, focus, attention, memory, and then they circle that. And so this is a quick thing that the mentor fills out on each mentee. There's space on the back to write a lot more if they want to, and then they can share some of this in the support group. I usually collect these and look at them during the week, and I might write some comments back to the mentors for the next session. So this old-fashioned picture is me with the pigtails and my grandmother, and we had a really close intergenerational relationship, and that is really what's behind this whole program, is that relationship, the impetus for me to even go on and create this whole thing. So I want to honor and thank Gammy, my grandmother. Okay, next, please. And this is the last slide. This is our information, movewithbalance.org. And then the nonprofit website, Giving Back Mentoring. So either of these two are both giving back, but the Move with Balance is separate and just detail that program. And there's our phone numbers and address. So if you are interested to contact us with any more questions, if you want to learn when Move with Balance will be ready for you to use, if you want to be involved in any way in the research or doing the program, we'd love to have you, and send us an email so you can learn when it's ready. So I think, and in this current Aging Today newspaper that ASA puts out, we're also written up in there this month, the September-October issue. So thank you, Steve, ASA membership, MetLife, and Dr. Pang, and everyone who has been a part of Move with Balance. So I guess we're ready for our questions.
Yes, it's time for the Q&A portion of today's web seminar. So thanks for a great presentation, Karen Peterson and Dr. Pang. And if you are ready, let's jump right into the Q&A portion. The first question, Karen, can you talk a little bit about some of the specific exercises that this program utilizes?
Okay, so I had mentioned right-left brain integration. So maybe one of the exercises would be what's called the cross crawl. So anybody who can, you can stand up right now, and what you do is you lift your right leg and touch it with your left hand, and then you switch left leg and right hand. So you're using the right side of your body at the same time that you're using the left side of your body. Now, I can't believe how many people come into the class and I ask them to do that, and they will use the same side of the body, and they don't even know that they're doing it. They have no awareness of their body and that they are only using one side, like touching the right hand to the right leg. So it's like, they have to catch themselves, and then after, like I was saying, they have to get into low gear and go very slowly and think and watch what they're doing. Actually watch their hand touch their knee, and then maybe what I'll do after that, then they might get it. But then we have like a chant that we do, and then they have to keep in rhythm while they do it. Well, then they lose it during that time. So then they have to progressive challenge that I talked about, they have to do it slowly until they get that, until they can go through that chant. And then I may have them count backwards while they do that movement. And a partner will listen to see that they're actually counting backwards from 100 while they do that. So we keep adding different cognitive skills while we're doing some movement. And then that's where I think this integration of the brain and body takes place so thoroughly, because so much is used. And maybe they're having to speak out loud using that part of the brain when they count backwards. And they have to do a math problem in their head. So it's kind of like that.
So it sounds like it's a combination of both physical and cognitive activity.
It is,
right?
and at the same time, as they get good enough to do that. I mean, we would start out simply one thing at a time, but then over time, they get better and better at it, and that's when it really gets fun and engaging, when they are combining all this.
And what is that arc of improvement? Does it kind of relate to the individual themselves, or are some people faster than others, or how does that work?
Yeah, I would say, for instance, that exercise that I just talked about, if a person has been pretty athletic or moved a lot in their life, they're going to be able to do that pretty quickly, that touching the right hand to the left knee and the left hand to the right knee. And that isn't going to take that long to do, because they probably have moved like that in their lives. And they probably have used their right and left brain at the same time, often, even in their thinking. And I'm not going to go into all the characteristics of the right and left brain and everything now. But if the person has been more one-sided, it will take them quite a long time. And some people still, even after, a year, are still not able to just quickly do it, but what they can do is catch themselves. They can notice that they're doing it, and then they stop and have a second where okay, I know how to do it, and then they go do it. So all that kind of thinking and understanding and noticing and then doing it correctly is all working on your whole brain-body system.
Okay.
So it isn't like we really need a total result that they get to do it. It's when they're learning it is when all this is taking place. In the process of them learning how to do this, what are they going to do to learn this? Just like we think of ourselves when we were younger, when we moved all the time and everything was new and learning. We just kept on it. And this is the kind of thing we're encouraging here, too, that they don't just give up. They keep trying and learning.
Okay. How do you motivate the residents to come back? We find that we have challenges with a lot of other things, such as doctor's appointments, outings, socializing with friends, et cetera, that interfere with residents coming to more than one session. Can you talk about that?
Well, I do think, my opinion is that having that mentor, just like that one lady in that photo, she went the first time and hit it off with the mentor. The mentors are actually really loving, great people, and they know what they're getting into, and they're ready there to help that person. So it's like they just open a little safe, loving space for them. They feel that, and they come back. And I think they like it. I mean, they really do. And Dr. Pang knows, too, that we do have really a high attendance rate. I just think yeah.
Oh, sorry. The attendance rate is very important. We've analyzed other exercise programs with 1 leader and 22 participants. You're lucky if you get 2/3 coming back to finish the program, or 50%. Well, what happens if people don't finish the program? They don't get counted anyway. That's not true. They're counted as a loss in the intention to treat model, or if you do bang for the buck, cost-benefit analysis, they cost you. You're still doing the program, but only half are showing up. So Karen, whatever way she does with the mentee association, the personal obligation to show up because we're looking for you, adherence is called adherence. It's very important.
Right, and ours is pretty high. One program was 76% adherence, and I don't know what this latest assisted living was, but that was also good. And with the mentors, when I am selecting the mentors, I might interview different people, the volunteer mentors, and I'll say, you're going to really have to commit to 10 weeks of the program because this person is going to be waiting for you. They're going to look forward to it. Of course, there could be an emergency, and then I'll have a substitute, or maybe even one mentor works with 2. But they really are going to come. And then the mentees, I tell the assisted living facility, it's really important that they get here. And please don't schedule doctor's appointments. And, I mean, they still have done it. But sort of insist or say how important that it is.
Okay.
So that's my answer on that.
Let's talk about the mentors for a little bit. How much training is provided to the mentors? And also, where do you get the volunteers who are willing to commit to these 10 weeks? Where do you solicit them from? Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah. First of all, I am connected to our senior center here, and I have been for 18 years. And they have a monthly newsletter that they send out, and there's one page there where RSVP, Retired Senior Volunteer Program. They have a page in their newsletter that they send out of all their classes. And in there, when I'm going to do a training, which is usually twice a year, I put in a notice that it's going to happen. I also put in notices in the newspaper, just that I'm going to do this. I put flyers up around, and I just say, volunteer mentors. I mean, I have samples if people want to see it. I'm willing to share almost everything. And then I don't put the location on the poster. I just say location to be announced. And then because I want everyone that I have at the training to have talked to me, to talk about this commitment. I don't want people just dropping in, to use it. A lot of people like to take the training to use with their own parents, and that's fine. But I want them to, if they want to get the training, which I don't charge for, they have to work with my frail elders in the program. And then they can still work with their parents.
Hi, could I make one comment? We're being overtaken by a wave of obesity in the nation in all age groups. Now, obesity has gotten so bad that they're showing that one of the key factor, or the key factor, is physical activity, not just fruits and vegetables anymore. So if you got a bunch of sedentary elderly, because elderly relate to elderly, maybe you can incentivize their physical activity. All you want to do is twice a week, 20 minutes each time, and you get these elderly who are sedentary but don't fall. Maybe the insurance companies can incentivize it so they can help be the mentors.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ideas. That's a good idea. So, and you asked about the training. Okay, now, when I first started, I actually had a 20-hour training, and that was way too long because as I went along, now I have the training, it's maybe, I went to 8 hours. Then now I have the training maybe about 4 hours. It actually, like let's say I'm having a training coming up, and I might have 5 people in it coming up. Sometimes I'll have 20 people in it. And the thing is, what I feel is in this training for the mentors, I'm really just pumping them up and motivating those mentors to feel good about themselves, to want to give back and do this program. I explain how it's going to work. They like to know every detail of what's going to happen. I don't teach them every exercise, and the reason is because of the progressive challenge idea. When the mentor is coming to the site and being with the elder, the frail elder, and I'm introducing an activity, it's new to them too. So they have to be struggling along. So it's like the pair together is doing it. And so there's not the feeling of, I'm here to help you, and that the mentor is really also involved. The activities, they can do and learn. I might demonstrate some. I will talk about how I do this, the progressive challenge. I'll talk about how important it is to get the mentor and the mentee to notice what's happening in their body, to become aware of themselves, the idea of that integration of the brain and the body. So I'll talk about things like that, but it's not like, here are all the exercises, and now you go in and do it. It's more of an overall feeling about the program, and then we go in and do it, and they're learning hands-on. That's when they're really learning, when they're at the site. And then in the support group, after we stay and we learn. To me, it's easier to learn when you're right in it with the people rather than just being detached and reading a book or in a training. The real training is when you're on the site, and that's when I say they're learning. I hope that answers that.
Next question is, I'm sure I'd be able to implement this information in my work in physical and occupational therapy. Did I understand that an attendee can be involved in further research on this topic?
Yes. Dr. Pang, you want to talk about that?
Yes. We will talk. We need some numbers, like maybe seven, at least maybe 7 people, maybe not simultaneously, but if each site wants to put together a little series, then we might need some baseline history of falls, essentially a before and after. And then if we get enough of this data, we can pool it all together.
So you would let us know, whoever is interested in the research, that you want to do this. As I said, the whole replication product will be ready probably in the beginning of October. You could get the book and then start implementing the program, and then send the research back to us, or your results. And Dr. Pang will handle that.
And you can see the contact information up there on your screen. We've got an email up there. We're going to leave this up for the rest of the presentation. This slide is also part of the deck that you can request by sending an email to info@asaging.org. So don't feel that you have to write this down in a hurry right now. Send us an email. We'll send you out a copy of this PowerPoint, which will also have this information on there. And then you can get in touch with Karen via this email. Okay, the next question, is there a cost for the program supplies, and if so, what is it?
Okay, well, the book that's going to come out is not, I haven't totally decided on the price. I'd say it's going to be about $34. I'm trying to keep it really affordable so that, when I wrote the personal model, it's just a senior can buy it by themselves for their own use, and yet somebody who's going to use it like a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, or a senior center, or an activity director, they still can have it. Okay, that'll be it. It'll be that. There are some, I call them props, in the program, and I at first was going to put all these props in a box, but there are things that I inexpensively got together over the years, things like tennis balls and bean bags and things like that. And so that, I figured, why should I put tennis balls in a box and ship them, especially from Hawaii? So I just am saying that you could just go and buy those at your local store, some tennis balls for your thing. And then other activities where we would need some of the props more, I have not put those in the book at this time because I'm going to just see how this all goes, and maybe I will have in our store on the website some of those. But everything is inexpensive because that's just the way I've done the program over the years.
Okay.
So yeah.
The next question, do you provide Train the Trainer so this can be replicated in other states? Well,
at this point, how I feel I'm going to do that is that this book that you can get is going to go into, how to set up a program and things like that. I'm going to be available to talk to people and help them. I'll put articles on the website that will help them from my experience. And eventually, people who really do it and go in, again, I'm such a hands-on person, a person who goes in and attempts to do the 10-week program and then gives me feedback. I think I would have the Train the Trainer be done that way. In other words, the doing of the activity and sending reports and answering questions back to me who have done the program is, to me, a better way to get the trainers than to just say, okay, for a weekend you come here and now you're trained. Well, you've never even touched a senior. I would rather have it done that way, if that's clear. If you want to know that, if you didn't really understand what I said, you can personally send me an email and I will try to explain that. But it's more of a hands-on, the people will emerge who are going to be the trainers by doing it.
Okay. Now, in the packaging for the program, are you going to be sharing how to train the mentors?
Yeah. Now, that is going to be, first of all, I was thinking of having separate books, like one for the group leader, blah, blah. But now I'm going to have the one book, and there will be a mentor manual that will be for sale on the website. It'll be, again, it's like I said, it's a quite a simple training, so there's not going to be, that much in it. I'm not even sure of that price. It won't be that much, but you could order that on our website. Let's say you were going to train 10 mentors. You could order 10 manuals. And then at that point, what you could do is let the mentor have the manual. They could buy it from you, or you could just lend it to them for the training and take it back, depending on what they can do and how much they can afford. Some people buy the book. Some people wouldn't. I have a book that I wrote in 2004 that I've been using with mentors all these years, but this is going to be a little different, this mentor manual. We're working on it right now. It should be done soon.
Okay, and can you let us know again when those are going to be available? Did you say mid-October?
Yeah, early to mid-October, everything should be ready. The video is done. The book is at the layout person. She's putting in the photographs. It'll just have to be printed. I'm going to do a print on demand, so that isn't going to take very long. It's just going to fall in place probably by early or mid-October. And I think if people want to get involved, they either send me an email and I'll put them on a list to let them know when it's ready. They can go to the website and see when it's ready. The old website is still up and there's information on that. The new one will be up probably within a month.
Okay.
So I was hoping to have this all done by today, but I didn't. So it'll be done soon.
Okay. Can you talk about how the exercises that you use were chosen? Let's see. Really, I'd say I have a background in vision therapy and kinesiology. So in vision therapy, I've worked with behavioral optometrists. And we created a learning center here in Hawaii, and I was working with a behavioral optometrist there. So that is the closeness of the visual system with the balance. So there's a lot of activities that are doing that, working on that area. I don't know. I guess it's just in my background. And then I started to do these activities with the seniors, and I could see how they could be modified and changed and how to challenge them. It was really like that, working, from experience.
This is Dr. Peng again. For me, it's kind of like, can you walk and chew gum at the same time? We all can do that, but apparently this group with cognitive disorders can't. And so when they have to concentrate on chewing gum or saying hello to me as they walk towards me, they lose that instinctive balance and they fall. Now, if you say, well, of course we can walk and chew gum. Well, you can't text and drive, can you? So either Karen is increasing their mental function so they don't have to put so much into it, or she's automatically increasing the balance instinct so they can balance and do other things like look at the clock, think about other things. So
I think that,
I like that.
I think that's it. And then, like I said, it's what is happening in your body. Notice what's happening. I train them to feel what they're doing and how, that they're fully present. And you know how, here's an example. How many times people go to a shopping mall, park their car, and forget where it is? Well, that's because they weren't even thinking. They were already thinking about what store they were going in. But if you can kind of train yourself by just noticing when okay, I'm here, there's my car, and you look around. In other words, your brain and body are doing the same thing. So that's what I'm kind of training them to do, so they get that habit. And I'm not sure, how much they're going to keep doing it or anything, but somehow it actually changes the brain and the neural pathways so that they get better at that, even it transfers over to their life.
There's been quite a few studies to reduce falls in the elderly. Our first stuff, independent of Karen, was to put home modifications, grab bars, rugs, lighting, in the homes. Now that this is a totally different group with cognitive disorders, it has been shown that in institutions, they already put in the environmental changes, but they keep falling on wet spots. Hey, these places got wet spots. I don't fall on the wet spots when I go in because they're not there focusing to look for wet spots. And that's why they're kind of like cognitively lost. And when they do look at the wet spot, I guess they forget about falling or keeping their balance. So once again, we're trying to teach people to essentially chew gum and walk at the same time, because you don't have to think about chewing gum, or you don't have to think about balancing.
Right. It's like that term, sensory motor integration. It's like you're using the senses, you're seeing, maybe you're hearing, you're speaking, all at the same time that you're moving. So the motor skills are integrated with your senses. It's that type of a feeling.
Okay. Well, we are just about out of time for today's web seminar, but I want to thank our presenters today for a great presentation on this program, Karen Peterson and Dr. Pang. Thank you very much for this presentation.
Thank you very much for having us.
Okay, thank you.